First, I'd like to say, thank you for joining us all today. We're really excited to be talking about Englewood service clubs. When you want to make a community a better place, it can be hard to figure out where to start. Making an impact on your own can feel really overwhelming. However, joining with others in a service club can provide opportunities to help your community that you might be looking for. So instead of trying to tackle issues alone, community service clubs provide members with support and connect them with like-minded people looking to make an impact by helping others. Clubs also provide an opportunity to network with others in your area, which can lead to new friendships and foster relationships with people you might not have met outside of the club. Service clubs have regular events like meetings, presentations, and scheduled speakers, providing opportunities to meet, listen to, and engage with community leaders. A service club is defined firstly by its service mission, and secondly, its membership benefits. So today we have 3 service clubs joining us. First, we will hear from Sean Lewis and Patty Burnett from the Englewood Rotary Club, followed by Dave Mason from the Englewood Lions, and Sorry, Dave. Dave Newman, and then Dick Mason and Mike McGee from Arapahoe-Sertoma. So without further ado, Sean, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you, Lindsay, and thank you, David, and all of our friends at the Chamber for this opportunity. Just to verify, everyone can see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Well, Patty and I are thrilled to be with you today. As the screen says, I'm the current president. My term just started on July 1st. And so Patty graciously agreed to tag team this presentation with me. The way we're going to divide this up is I'm going to talk a little bit about Rotary International as an organization, of its beginning, et cetera, and what it does internationally. And then Patty's really going to bring it down to the local level. So I'll get started. And these are really some of the highlights, kind of Rotary by the numbers, if you will. We connect people. There are 1.4 million Rotary members worldwide, and there are 36,000 clubs. I have visited clubs in India, in Europe. I visited one in Japan because I've actually been a Rotarian since 1999. I started when I was 10. And so, just kidding. But I have been able to, really dig into Rotary clubs and the good work that they do internationally for many, many years. We also transform communities. There are about 47 million volunteer hours that are given each year by Rotarians back to the community. And Patty's going to talk about some of our local projects, and I'll talk about some of the international projects. And then we fund sustainable projects. There were last year, in the last year, there were $333 million that were awarded for global service initiatives. And again, we'll talk about some of those. Just a little bit of history about Rotary. It was really started by a man named Paul Harris, and he was a Chicago attorney. And, if you knew anything about Chicago in the late 1800s, early 1900s, a lot of corruption, a lot of graft. And one of the things that he and some colleagues got together and thought, we really need a way to start bringing people together, not only for fellowship, but also to really push vocational ethics. At that time, it was probably more business ethics. That's been expanded to be more any vocation that someone is working in. And to that aim, they developed what's known as the 4-week test, which was developed pretty early in Rotary's history. And we recite this at the beginning of each of our Rotary Club meetings. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And as you can see, I don't have to look at the screen in order to do that because I have said the 4-week test many, many times. Some elements of being a Rotarian. A lot of people think, oh, it's just a club, or maybe they think it's a secret handshake. Well, there is no secret handshake, but there are weekly club meetings. And here in Englewood, Englewood Rotary Club, we meet the first, second, and third Wednesdays at noon of each month. And we're currently meeting at the Guild starting in August as the Guild is doing some renovation and expansion. We're going to be moving to the Maui Recreation Center at noon each week. Again, first, second, third Wednesdays of each week. And so we have a meal together. We have some announcements, talk about what service is coming up. And then we have a program that's speakers from throughout the community and beyond that are speaking on topics of interest that we think as Rotarians we're interested in hearing about. But we also think that people throughout the community will be interested in that deal with government, education, the business community, the nonprofit community. Secondly, we do a lot of community service. So Patty will delve more into that. We also develop and support youth, and I'll talk about some of those programs as well as Patty. And then something we're going to really focus on this year is developing and particularly supporting community leaders. We'll be giving out awards throughout the year, our Rotary Spirit of Service Awards that will name a nonprofit leader of the year, a business or entrepreneur of the year. We're really going to be trying to recognize different vocations, teachers, emergency responders, and so we're excited about that. And then fifthly, we give. One of the things that I have a colleague that is in the Lions Club, and he told me what his dues were, and I was like, oh, wow, that's way cheaper than being in Rotary. We do have dues, but one of the things that you'll see as we go through this is we give a lot of money to big worldwide efforts and initiatives. So let's dig into some of that. We have 7 focus areas that Rotary International focuses on, and a portion of our dues goes to this work. And so we have people throughout the globe working on peace building. We're doing conflict resolution, peace building in Ukraine, in Afghanistan, Pakistan. Anywhere where there's conflict, you find Rotarians that are working as NGOs in those areas. We're doing basic education and literacy throughout the world, particularly in developing countries. Really all of these, I would say, the focus is in developing countries. Disease prevention and treatment, we'll talk about our big project in that in just a second. Water hygiene and sanitation, community economic development, maternal and child health, and then supporting the environment. So looking at the programs of Rotary International, our biggest project that since 1985 that we have been working on feverishly is ending polio. There have only been a handful of diseases that have been cured and wiped off the face of the planet. We want to make polio be one of those diseases. And so to that end, we've given $850 million since 1985, hundreds of thousands of volunteer hours. I personally was able to go to India with Rotary and do polio vaccination clinics where we went into, in that case, it was predominantly Muslim communities where there was some fear that maybe the polio vaccinations that were being given by the UN and the World Health Organization were possibly a Western sterilization plot. That's something that's a pretty prevalent idea. And we were able to actually, the year after, India did not have a single case of polio. So now I think we're only down to one country where polio still exists, and it's going to take a lot of money, but we're going to make sure and get those vaccinations out there. We've actually inoculated over 2 billion children, and we are a key partner of the United Nations and one of the only private sector, nonprofit sector partners of the World Health Organization who joined us in this effort many years ago. We also are supported heavily by the Gates Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, now separate, that we've raised over $400 million in $200 million challenge grants from the Gates Foundation. We also do Rotary Youth Exchange. Many clubs send a student abroad each year and host a student in our country. Sometimes it's alternating years, sometimes it's in the same year. And so we, in any given year, we're doing 9,000 exchange students throughout the world. We also have a program called RILA, which stands for Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, where we have a leadership program. It's a camp type program. It's anyone ages 14 to 30. We focus mainly on junior high and high school students. in all the clubs that I've been in. And we send kids to students, particularly students who may not get opportunities like this. And so these are some of the programs of Rotary International. And so I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to my colleague Patty, who will talk about how we do some of these things in our own club, but also some of the great work that we do here in Englewood. Patty.
Thank you, Sean. You know, I want to share a little bit about what we're doing now and what we have done historically. I think our history is part of the charm and significance of Englewood Rotary. We began in 1937, and I have a document that says the ladies of the community church served a turkey dinner for the members on that first party night. Early on, the Rotary Club did things like they had an annual get acquainted night for the entire faculty of the Englewood schools and the Rotarians and their wives. They're all men at that time, of course. They sponsored Boy Scout troops. They raised money for what was called crippled children. They participated in a fascinating urban-rural forum where each Rotarian invited a farmer to dinner, and there was an exchange of ideas and understanding. It's kind of like a local version of Rotary's grand ambition for world peace. Now I have a picture. I'm just going to see if I can get this up here for you without the light. This is Englewood Rotary in 1941. See, but he's got a cowboy hat on. And this was the international meeting of Rotary from all over the world. It happened in Denver, and Englewood Rotary, looks like there were about 30 men in that group, and they all wore cowboy hats, and they also had some elaborate scarves or whatever they wore. And it was just a wonderful, amazing event. And then, of course, the war came. And I found enough historical documents that I know the members were really proud of what their members did individually during the war years. They led bond drives, they worked for the Red Cross and all sorts of related war efforts. And then after the war, I found a document talking about how one of their speakers shared his experience as a former prisoner of war in Japan. So weekly programs, as Sean mentioned, weekly programs with topics of great interest are still a mainstay of Rotary. And then back in the late 40s and early 50s, the club did things like help develop a community tennis court, they erected basketball hoops, they helped fund lighting for the Denny Miller Field and school gymnasiums. They helped pay for the operation of the community pool. And by the way, as I was looking through my old documents on this, I discovered that the Lions Club was responsible for buying the heater for the community pool. And our club also supported the creation of public bathrooms and drinking fountains, and honored students as outstanding students as junior Rotarians, which is something that many Rotary clubs do today. Our club also famously saved the Cherry horse car, renovating the horse-drawn trolley that ran on Broadway from 1892 to 1910. On the downhill run, if you don't know, the horse rode on the back and gravity took over. Our club acquired this from an individual in 1950, restored it and gave it to the city. And then there was another Save the Horse Car campaign in the 1980s to get it to the state that it's in now. It resides in the hallway outside the Englewood Library if you've never seen it. Today, the primary outreach for Englewood Rotary is scholarships. We have given almost $200,000 in college and trade school scholarships to Englewood graduates. This year, we awarded one $10,000 scholarship to an Englewood High grad and two $2,500 scholarships to Englewood High grads, and then one $2,500 scholarship to graduate of Colorado's finest school, Colorado's finest school, high school of choice, the alternative school, which we have supported for many years. And then this very month, we are sending 3 Englewood High School girls to the fabulous 5-day summer camp that Sean mentioned called RILA. It's up at Estes Park, and it'll be, you know, instilling values, the Rotary values of civic responsibility, leadership, and teamwork, and a lot of fun. We're also sending 2 middle school boys to a camp for their age group. Rotary's motto is service above self, and our club has a record of almost 25 years providing winter clothes and holiday gifts to low-income preschool children. This year, we were also strong financial supporters of the Englewood High School basketball girls team. We contributed to the effort to establish a homeless navigation center in Englewood. We contributed also to integrated family community service and helped distribute food during the worst of the pandemic. We have a foundation which provides funding for our scholarships, but we have to rely on yearly fundraising to support some of our other goods. So that's where the Palisade peaches come in. You'll see in the chat, we're selling Palisade peaches. We'd love for you to support us in that way. That's it for me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sean and Patty. We really appreciate hearing about the Rotary Club and what you guys have been doing here in Englewood for so many years. Let's move on to Dave from the Englewood Lions.
My name is Dave Newman, and I've been a member of Englewood Lions Club since early 1987. So I just had my 35th anniversary as a member of Englewood Lions. And how I got started in Lions, by profession, I'm retired now, but I was an optometrist for all those years. And when I joined my practice, who I finally, I finally got solidly involved with the practice. They introduced me to a bunch of people. They said, you got to come to this meeting, and it turned out to be Englewood Lions. And at the time, this was back in the early, early '87. We had over 100 members of Lions Club, and there was a saying that if you wanted to be a mayor of Englewood, you had to be a member of Englewood Lions Club, because we had a ton of mayors pass through Englewood Lions over the years. A lot of people from the school district, administrators, but people from all walks of life, people in Englewood city government especially were members. But it was real appropriate for me to become an Englewood Lions member, because one of the main emphasis is on vision and vision projects, vision-related projects. Lions Club International was started by a gentleman named Melvin Jones, who was a businessman out of Chicago, funny enough. In 1917, July of 1917, he established a community group. Again, just making the community a lot better place to be, and the only way to do that is to have every individual make a make that commitment to make their community that much stronger, and that's what I totally believe. So again, we have 1.4 million people, just like Rotary, out of 47,000 clubs around the world. Over 200 countries are members of Lions International. We're considered the largest service club in the world. And again, our focus is community service, leadership, skills, and of course, the social aspects as well. Global causes that we support are diabetes, the environment, hunger, vision, and childhood cancer. Those are the main areas that Lions Club International focuses in on. some of the things that we did in our history, Englewood started in 1926. We had a train that a miniature train run around in Bellevue Park, and it's quite a few years ago we ultimately donated it to the city. Well, actually, we sold it to the city for $1. But we used to, because we had so many members, we had a driver throughout the week, and the other members would volunteer shifts over the weekend. And one of the reasons why we ended up having to give up the train is that we just were losing members, and there was no one to volunteer to drive the train. But that was a fun thing to do. The swimming pool, you mentioned the swimming pool, and that was where Cinderella City, which is now where the Englewood City Center is. We started the funds to build that pool. Some of the things that we do now are support kids in school. We have a program called Kids Sight, where we screen preschoolers for potential vision problems and then refer them on to eye doctors. And we've got a doctor that took my project over. I used to do all the exams and provide glasses for all the kids. We now have another eye doctor in an area called named Amy Gallegos over there in iLogic right off Logan. She just moved her office over there. So now she does all the school screening or the eye exams and provides glasses for the kids that we can support there. We support Cafe 180. We donated money for the victims of the Marshall Fire recently. Homeless projects around Seeing Eye. Our current president is Lion Gail Hamilton, who is blind, and so since she's come on board, we've especially been aware of supporting the Seeing Eye Dog program, and we have the Rocky Mountain Lions Eye Institute, one of the biggest research centers, certainly in the Midwest, built out in the Aurora, the CU Health campus out there in Aurora, and providing all kinds of research in eye diseases and that kind of thing. And that was a project that we did in conjunction with the Lions of Wyoming. And we raised enough money to help build that thing many years ago. And then we support the IFCS in food drives and Thanksgiving baskets. We support kids, families that need support over Christmas and that kind of thing. So that's Lions Club. Our motto is "We serve," and we certainly do. We meet at this point over the pandemic. Everybody started meeting on Zoom, and we started meeting on Zoom even quite a while before that, like on bad weather days. So we had a little bit of practice doing that. But now we meet on Zoom once a week or once a month, and then we meet in person once a month. We had been meeting once a week, but we were able to, during the pandemic, we just kind of narrowed that down. So we meet over there at the Mango Coffee House right there on Broadway in downtown Englewood. So it's a great program. We have a Lions Camp down in Woodland Park that we support. And that is for kids that would not necessarily be able to go to camp. And they have a really good camp down there, and our clubs, different clubs from around the state, will go down and cook food on Sundays during the course of the summer. So that is it in a nutshell. I've enjoyed being part of Englewood. I've served as president before. I'm currently secretary of Englewood Lions Club now, but it's a great, certainly a great social, but we certainly do provide good community service as well.
David, thank you so much for sharing all of that information. If you have a second, could you type into the chat a little, maybe like a link to the summer camp for kids? I think some of the people on the call would be interested in that.
Okay, sure will.
And then now we're going to turn it over to Dick Mason and Mike McGee. I'm not sure who's going first, but whoever would like to start, that would be awesome.
I guess I will. I'm Dick Mason, and I recognize a couple of people that are watching or listening. Todd McPherson, I see from Todd. Are you still with IFCS?
I sure am. Last 9 years, I've enjoyed working with all three of these service groups that are a part of the program.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And Maria Pearson. I'm not sure which organization, but I recognize you. But I don't think she's on.
No, I am. Thank you. Yes, I was with IFCS for 14 years a while ago, and I'm still doing social work, just in a different area.
Oh, okay. Well, I recognize you. Hi.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, you
Okay.
guys, as Todd said, all these service clubs have done so much wonderful work in the community. So
Yeah.
glad
Good.
to see you all still doing it.
Thanks. Arapahoe Sertoma Club, Rotary and Lions, everybody knows who they are. I mean, they're big and whatever, and Sertoma, not so much. So, and I don't have a lot of national, excuse me while I give my dog a bone. I don't have a lot of the international and national data. I've just prepared to talk about Arapahoe Sertoma Club and what we do. The Arapahoe Sertoma Club, Sertoma stands for Service to Mankind. And the national focus is on hearing and speech. Arapahoe Sertoma Club is also hearing and speech, but we donate time and or money to approved organizations or individuals in need around the Denver metro area for the most part. We have donated to things like Easter seals, but mostly it's all local community. And we have two funds. One is what we call the sponsorship fund, and we raise money through fundraisers. And we'll talk about a lot of the fundraisers, Mike and I will, that we've done and summarize them. And the other one is a foundation that is funded by individual contributions. And that foundation is, it was funded from partially the sponsorship fund to begin with. And when we were making good money each year, we put money into that foundation, and it sits at about, it's around 300,000 right now, and it gives about, we can only spend the income is our rules, and that income gives the club, gives a sponsorship fund or needed charities about 10,000 a year, and of income, dividends, interest, and capital gains. And the and individual contributions, mostly from members and from our sponsorship fund, have been the contributions to build the foundation. The fundraisers that the sponsorship fund does, it's really down. Mike and I have been a member for 34 years, 33, 34 years. And the club is 70 years old. And the club has started out at one point in time, it was about 98 members. And I remember the goal was to reach 100. We never made it. We would add a member and lose one or two. But over the 70 years, we've done fundraisers and made money and contributed to the community. Some of those sponsorship fundraisers were back before Mike and I were members. They did a golf tournament and an exhibition at Pinehurst Country Club. The club did. Brought in golfers like Palmer, Nicholas, Trevino, Johnny Miller, Tom Watson.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It was a big fundraiser for 5 or 6 years. The club did and raised money for the sponsorship. they did an air show, and I understand. I heard about it before, but I just heard the details. They did an air show, and the committee at the time lined up all these pilots in old airplanes to show up at Arapahoe Airport, and they committed. They scared the heck out of the club. It's a good thing it was a big club. It was a good sized club because they scared the heck out of them because they committed $80,000 to this to these pilots and airplanes to come in and do the exhibition.
Wow.
But so they had to dig down and work hard and make it work, and they ended up making $23,000 for Easter seals. So that was a big deal. And let me think if there's other. Oh, and casino nights. They did casino nights and made quite a bit of money. They do one of those each year and make money, make funds for sponsorship. Since Mike and I have been around, we did car raffles. We did that for a lot of years. We sold 200 tickets, $100 a piece, included dinner for two, usually at a country club. And but started out at St. Mary's, in the basement of St. Mary's Catholic Church out there, and we all the members made spaghetti and served spaghetti and bread. Anyway, made good money doing the car raffle. We had to do the car or $8,000 or $10,000, I forget which, for a long time. But then when his expenses went up, it became hard to sell tickets. After about, I don't know, 10 or 12 years, we did that. Made probably 10 or 12,000 each year. We worked bingo. We had 5 teams that worked bingo at various different places. Once a week, we'd have that night, and we had 5 teams, and every fifth week we'd work bingo. And we made money. We made up to from between 20 and 65,000 over the time. Then when the casinos opened up on the hill, then our ability to make money at bingo kind of fell.
Yeah.
And so we shut her down. But we made good money doing it. We've done small projects too, lemonade stands at Western Welcome Week, and so I remember they sold light bulbs for a while. I don't know how they made very much money, but they did. And now we get some, since the pandemic, it's our membership has been going down over the years because we're kind of an old club, but in fact, we lost 6 members in this last year. Year and a half probably. But we're 22 members now. Other money, how the sponsorship gets money is also from, we donated 25,000 years ago, probably 30 years ago, to Sertoma International. To they had a fundraising deal, and so they kept the money, and it was kind of like a fund also. And they invested it, and so now our club gets about $2,700 a year from the income from that investment, and that helps a little bit for a small club, because during the pandemic, like I say, we were meeting weekly and having programs and having 40 members show up, and we were going, and like I say, now we're down to 22. After the pandemic, we went into the survival mode after that, and now we meet once a month. We still do some fundraising. We did a raffle for Craig Hospital, their scuba diving rehab program, in conjunction with A1 Scuba Diving. They provided a week. They arranged for first prize was a week, 7 nights and 5 days of scuba diving in Cozumel. And so we did a raffle, and they helped us, obviously. The Craig Hospital did, employees, and A1, Craig Hospital, A1, and us did the raffle. And the idea was that we would get 25% of the profits into, after the cost was carried, 25% into our sponsorship fund, and 75% went to Craig Hospital. And A1 got a lot of PR by it, and so it was very successful raffle before the pandemic. We raised about 8,080 something, 8,000 something for in profits for Craig Hospital Scuba and diving rehab, and we got about 2,600. I didn't do the math, but we got 25% of the profits too into our sponsorship fund. And again, 100% of the sponsorship fund goes to the charities, and 100% of the income from the foundation goes out. We have no cost in those two. Our membership pays dues for the lunch and for the carrying costs of the club. So that's the fundraisers into the sponsorship. And I haven't been keeping track. Lindsay, let me know if we go over a little bit, but some of the charities, and I'll ask Mike to help out on this one. Some of the charities that we have helped through those funds. I mentioned Easter Seal. We did audiology scholarships for 4 or 5 students at Northern Colorado. We did that for a few years. Did hearing aids to lots of needy individuals. One of our members is an audiologist, and he had a practice, and our affiliate that we sponsor is Miriam Downs Center, and they've helped us. If there's needy people that need hearing aids, we've donated to individuals. Or I remember one lady needed it just to keep her employment, and she was very thankful. Anyway, I've seen Craig Hospital, Step 13 for many years. We donated to Step 13, and Bob Cote would come speak to us, and he was a good friend of our club. Field of Dreams, we still do that. We do the Field of Dreams, which is we do it now with another Sertoma club. We actually started that many years ago. 20 years ago, Mike, would you say? Mm-hmm. And then another Sertoma club took it over, but we still provide help with money and time. The Field of Dreams is for hearing impaired kids. We do a baseball camp, and we've got some good coaches, volunteers that come in, and they just did that a couple of weeks ago, and all weekend, Saturday and Sunday, gave them lunch, taught them skills, baseball skills, and it was out there. That's fun to watch. Mike, you want to jump in and grab a few?
Sure. One thing I would like to mention that Arapahoe Sertoma has done over the years is that we have started other clubs in the area. And I'll bet we've started maybe 15, Dick, something like that, since we've been around.
I think Rick, I asked him the other day, and I think he said it was closer to 30 clubs. They're not all still around.
Anyway,
but
yeah.
I think it was closer to 30, he thought.
Anyway, that's been part of our claim to fame, and we're one of the oldest in Denver, and actually I think still one of the biggest. But anyway, that's been good. The other thing we do, we have a Service to Mankind Award, which is a interesting award that's where we nominate a person. Well, one of them was Doctor's Cure or something like that, Dick. Is that? There was one. I
remember the name.
There was one that we nominated that went all the way through national. That anyway, just recognizing people that do good work in our communities, and then we have also have a Sertoman of the Year, which is we award to one of our members who has done exceptional work during the year for our club. Other charities that I can think of, one of my favorites is Freedom Service Dogs, which is a local group that trains dogs as service dogs, and over half of those go to veterans, returning veterans, which is really neat. And what those dogs can do is just amazing. There have been so many charities over the year. I can't really think of a lot of them, but it's nice to still be active in that. Our biggest fundraiser, as I think Dick said, at least since in the 30 some years that we've been around, has been bingo. But that we were, I think, up to around 65,000 a year that we were making off of that. But as Dick said, when the Central City and Blackhawk and all that started, why that deeply affected the bingo operation, and lack of members now would affect that, even if we were able to do it, because we had 5 teams of 10 people each, and that volunteered each week to go out to the clubs. Anyway, we have been a weekly meeting club up until the pandemic, and we've kind of started back a little bit slow now. We're, I think, like David mentioned, we just meet once a month now, but still have a good turnout. A good portion of our membership comes, and that's neat. We're always looking for projects to get involved in. Of course, like many clubs, we're having trouble attracting younger people, and I think that's probably true of all of us here. And the older people can't do quite as much, but we're anyway, we're trying to do what we can. Go ahead.
Can I jump back in, Mike?
Please.
Another great project that we've done, and we've done it for 40 years. In 82 or 83, there was the National had a thing called Freedom Week, but locally here it was pretty small, and when we got involved in 82, 83, and went from 5 clubs up to, I think, 35 clubs. And what Freedom Week is we recruit middle schools, 8th grade schools around the Denver metro area to we recruit the school to have the teachers recruit the students to write an essay, up to 300-word essay on what freedom means to me. And for 8th grade kids, it's amazing. And then they get each school, and we started out with, this year we had 6 schools, but and there was 22 that was at a banquet. So each kid that we judge the essays, the teacher doesn't. The teacher recruits the 8th graders to do the essays. The essays are given to us, and we have our members read them, and we judge them. And the kid from each school gets a certificate of deposit, safety deposit certificate for $100. They get their name on a school plaque, and they come to lunch with their teacher and their parents, and to where we get all of the schools together at a country club for lunch with their parents and teachers, and the winner, the overall winner for our district, for our area, gets another certificate of deposit and safety deposit. I forget the name of it. For another, I don't know whether it's $100 or more than that. Plus, they read their essays, and I guarantee you, it's amazing to hear some of these 8th grade essays on what freedom means to them. It is amazing, but it's a very gratifying thing. That luncheon is good. This year we had it at Columbine Country Club, and it was outstanding.
And we always have a good speaker for that.
Oh yes, there's always an emotional, very good speaker on freedom.
A lot of times, retired military or whatever.
Yes. Yes.
That's awesome, guys.
I'm sorry, what?
We're getting kind of close to
Okay.
time. And I would like to allow a little bit of time for question and answers.
Okay.
if that's okay. I don't mean to cut you off if you'd like.
That's
to
okay.
take a moment.
I'll mention one more.
Okay, sounds good.
We did this past year, we did a grant to an organization called Shield 616. It's an organization, a local organization that provides body armor for firemen and policemen. Because the body armor that is issued by many of these departments won't handle a high-powered rifle. And so this organization provided that, and the local organization, the police departments and fire departments didn't have the money to buy the more expensive stuff. And so this organization did. So we gave them $2,000, and we had a matching grant from National for $2,000. So we got, that was a nice one this past year. So it's things like that we do, and we'll continue to do, although we're on a smaller scale right now and we need to build up. So I'll quit right there.
No, I appreciate all of the interesting things that you guys have been committed to over the many years.